action roguelike where you descend through the layers of Cadmus to restore the core of the planet and defeat Malin for good.
Wishlist now on Steam.
Hey, I'm Thomas from Janitor's Closet Studios, here to present Exert. Exert is a 3D diesel punk action adventure beat 'em up in which players will infiltrate a giant airship, punch their way through enemies, and confront a rogue AI intent on humanity's extinction. We've been spending a lot of time on the game and we're really excited to share it with you, so we hope you enjoy.
Hi, I'm Kim Wynn, creative director of Ghost Knights, and this is our game Patched. Patched is a blend of platforming, puzzle, and adventure where you play as a broken doll escaping this haunted factory. As you explore this worn-down factory, you collect parts to rebuild your body and unlock abilities like sewing, grappling, and parrying. Avoid corrupted dolls and use defensive tools to survive as you uncover the truth behind your creation. Will you escape or take revenge?
My name is Preston Ferrer, and I'm a co-producer for the studio Cosmic Wage Workers. And this is our game, Orbit's Grocery. Being a new hire managed by an alien named Orbit, you stock, mop, clean, and take out the trash while handling chaotic events that affect the whole store. Don't forget to handle the customer quest as well, featuring 8 different mini-games from 4 separate genres.
Hi, I'm Jacob Lewis, producer of Secret Tower Studios' game, Salt and Silver. Salt and Silver is an action-adventure game where you play the role of a merchant sea bunny on a quest to set up an idyllic shop in the beautiful underwater vistas of the marina. Unfortunately, an evil force named Kingfin has sent beasts to the ocean to take over. Collect resources and materials, craft weapons, and fight your foes to maintain and restore balance in the marina.
Hello, I'm Luke Whipple, producer of Sorn.
My name's Kai Peck. I'm creative director of Sorn.
And I'm Joaquin Royer, and I'm lead programmer of Sorn.
Sorn is a third-person action mecha shooter.
Play as Mech Pilot J12 as you play through 3 fast-paced levels.
And you blow stuff up.
Hi, my name is Nico Smith, and I'm the lead producer.
And I'm Victor Mario Faruya, the lead creative director.
And we represent Palm Squad, which is also the creators of Suplex Smackdown.
Suplex Smackdown is a fun platformer where you play as a wannabe wrestler by the name of El Cojete. He's on a mission to travel through an entire crazy city to make it home to watch the final championship match with his family. It's just a wonderful trip, and we just hope you enjoy the game.
Hey, I'm Brian Kuna, the producer and creative director for Maroon Moon Studio and the game What You Don't See, which is a horror mystery game where you play as a paranormal investigator who's attempting to find the culprit behind a strange murder case. You'll have to traverse different mindscapes and solve various puzzles in order to get to the bottom of things, but you need to be careful. There's phantoms throughout that will attempt to stop you.
Hi, I'm Cecil Hernandez-Quinones, and I'm the producer for Whiskerbound. Whiskerbound is a turn-based animal RPG where you play as a heroic tabby cat knight on a quest to defeat the wicked warlock Wilhelm. You'll explore new worlds and meet new friends along the way on this fun whiskery adventure.
Hi, I'm Alexis.
And I'm Faith.
And we're the leads of Without Regret.
Without Regret is a third-person, narrative-driven adventure game where you play as Echo. Help lost souls and uncover the secrets of the astral plane while making personalized choices that recreate the story in your vision.
Our team has worked hard to provide a memorable experience for you.
Without Regret launches in May 2026, and we can't wait to share it with you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bridget. I'm the producer at Fireborn Studios, and today we are happy to present Wyvern Warriors. Wyvern Warriors is a third-person flying action game focused on fast-paced multitasking and aerial combat. Hi, my name is Avery Fiedler, and I'm the producer of Alaylon.
Hello, I am Anna Grant, and I am the creative director of Alaylon.
Alaylon is a third-person, semi-realistic investigative stealth robot game following two main characters, Ollie and Spade. As Ollie, sneak around the city evading enemies as they track you down to stop your mission. As Spade, collect and connect the evidence as you work through your assigned case.
Alaylon is out on Steam May 3rd. We hope you enjoy.
I'm Jaime Abrego. And I'm Logan Basinger, and we're from /. We're the devs for Anything But a Gun. Anything But a Gun is a roguelite first-person shooter that takes place in a corporate office building that's been overtaken by AI workers.
In a run, you'll encounter randomized room layouts and different waves of enemies. Some of the weapons you'll find will be mundane objects around the office space, and some will be more out there weapons. It's anything but a gun. You can upgrade weapons with powerful promotions, buy ammo, and sell them at different points throughout the run.
If you die, you'll lose all your progress, but don't be discouraged. Achievements will make your next run easier.
I'm Finn, the producer and art director at Sphinx Syndicate.
I'm Michael, the assistant producer and the lead design team lead at Sphinx Syndicate.
And we present to you Arnold Dillo, Cryptid Catcher.
In our game.
There we go. We're live. Hello and welcome back to Game Live.
Welcome back, everybody.
It's me, your host, Aidan Hurley, here with
Taylor.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Ooh, I'm excited to be back because this week we're talking about programming and coding.
Yay!
Yay! Now, programming and coding at UCF is something that everybody in the game design major does have to take courses on.
Whether I like it or not.
Yes, unfortunately you do. Now, the course that we all have to take is Computer as a Medium, which we took with our Professor Shengun, and all of the Computer as a Medium professors are so lovely and amazing and really good at their jobs, and they're really good at explaining it. But these courses are also used as a way to help people identify, hey, this isn't the track for me. But we have a lovely coding and programming track in this course, and it is, I love our coders and programmers. I love them so much.
Yes, seriously. This'll, as a reminder, video games are not just arts and sounds. You have to hold the whole thing together so it works. So coders are one of the most important parts of the process, and we're dedicating a good chunk of today's episode to spotlighting those people.
Yes. We're also going to be talking about today, I believe, AI in the industry with a very special guest in the middle. But that will be taken over by not us. So we're going to have a special different host come on for that. But today, we're actually also going to be showcasing different programs throughout the different stages of their academic lives here at UCF. So production class, computer, not Computer as a Medium, but the workshop class. So we're going to be showing a lot of different, game production.
Well.
I already said production.
Did you say production?
Yes, I did. I said production and workshop.
Oh.
Oh my God. But we are actually about to bring in a very special programmer. He's special to us.
Special to us specifically, and the person who helped us do a lot of stuff.
Yes, he made us Ape on Overtime.
Yes.
He is the reason Ape on Overtime actually works. So, introducing to us
glorious programmer for my many projects.
They're bringing in his
who
chair
has
now.
his chair stuck in the door. And he's almost there. He's gonna make it. You're almost there. Come on.
It's Thomas.
It's Thomas.
It's Thomas.
Here. Let me scoot my chair a little bit to the side so you get a little more room.
Here's your headphones.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Hold on. Let me move my mic a little bit
Yeah,
closer.
yeah. And if it doesn't work, hopefully you'll be picked up by this one.
Hopefully that should do it. There we go.
Now, Thomas.
Tech, can we hear Thomas?
Hi, hello. My name is Thomas. I was.
Yes, thumbs up. You're good.
Yes.
Anyway, introduce yourself.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Thomas. For our team and for game production, I was the lead programmer for all of our games that we produced throughout the semester.
Thank you. Thank you.
Seriously, thank you, Thomas.
No, you actually cooked. Now, we're actually going to be playing a previous game that I actually was not a part of this because I joined their team in the final project. But this game is actually quite fun. It's called Tomb Retreater.
So I was the lead on this game during our game production class. And as deserters, we eventually added Taylor for the following project. But I was actually on here on a previous episode showcasing this game. So it'll be fun to run this back on stream.
The previous hosts, we'd like to say, almost lost their internals. And I have to censor myself. I'm not allowed to say other words.
The scream was fantastic.
Yes,
but,
they were screaming a lot.
Yeah, which means, well, here's the thing. I also want to say this real quick. when we pull up the game, I probably shouldn't be the one playing.
Oh, so you're making me play?
Yeah, I'm making you play.
I have played this at home, I will say.
Ah,
a couple,
come on.
like, months ago. But I don't remember much.
But anyway, let's, where's the game? Do we already have it up
Can we pull that up, please?
Do you already have it?
Oh, Thomas,
Somewhere
please
on
come
here?
closer to the mic.
Okay.
Pretty please.
I got you.
Yes,
Okay.
please come here. Here,
Game
we can
production
share.
game
I don't
too?
bite.
Oh, okay.
You know I don't
This
bite.
is it, right? Well, I mean, you almost bit me that one time.
I did not bite you.
Well, you considered it.
When?
Remember the one meeting where I came in and I didn't have the map done and you looked like you were
Oh,
ready to...
yeah.
It was that one time.
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
For legal reasons.
Now,
Okay, I
as
think the
we
game's
wait to
loading
get this
up. There
loaded
we
up.
go.
Oh. Well, it's not up on the screen. I don't think.
Waiting for the
oh,
credits.
there we go. Now-
There you are, Thomas. There's your name
There's
right
Thomas's name.
There I am.
Now, as a programmer, what's your experience, as a programmer in game production?
So, going into the class, I had a lot more familiarity with Unreal against Unity because before I came back to school, on my off and on time, I would use Unity, just work on my own passion projects. Oh,
Okay. We're gonna put Thomas closer to the mic. Yeah,
just come
scoot.
in. My apologies.
Yeah, just scoot more.
But definitely coming into game production, my familiarity was a lot more with Unreal. However, in this degree track, the classes are more aligned towards Unity. So starting off, I had to learn Unity against my Unreal knowledge. So it was a bit of a learning curve to just not fight to use Unreal every time because you gotta learn it all eventually. So.
That's very true.
Yeah, and this project specifically was made in Unreal.
Yes, this was. We
You guys made this Unreal.
we convinced our professor to allow us to use Unreal for one project, and this was the one.
Lucky ducks. I had to use Unity for all of it, but I mean, I like Unity, so it's okay.
Fair enough. It really just comes down to personal preference for
Yes.
what engine you like
Now,
better.
let's can we show the options, please?
The options, yes.
Yes, and I'm gonna actually move the computer a little forward so we can see a little better.
There we go. Just to quickly brief the folks who hadn't seen the last episode on this, how to play. Basically, you play as the Pharaoh and you need to escape the
woman.
The Tomb Raider after you, and you basically gotta escape the Tomb Raider and collect the 4 Ankhs, and then you get into the last room. But I want to just get into the game real quick.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, no worries.
Actually, you know what?
Perfect.
I got this real quick.
You're gonna, because
Is this gonna get too close? We good?
Nah, since me and Thomas are so close, it's probably better that you play anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, 'cause the mouse is already on my side.
Yeah.
Hold up. Gonna move this right here.
And then while you play, I can ask Thomas questions.
Yes, you
Go
can.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Now,
the controls?
Aidan's
I
gonna
forgot.
start playing the game here.
It's my game.
Yeah, it's your game. I wasn't on this one. Now, Thomas,
Yes.
what are the major differences between coding in Unity and Unreal?
I'd say the biggest change that I noticed in terms of coding is that Unity is a lot more scene specific and Unreal is a lot more object oriented programming. So whenever you work with something in Unreal, we have these things called prefabs, which is basically an object that has a collection of code attached to it. And so whenever you make a prefab and you put it into a scene, what you if you want to use a different variation of that in another scene, you have to go out of your way to make those changes in another scene. However, those changes that you make are going to be in that scene only. Scenes are what are more professional way that
Okay, I beat the game. I was gonna keep letting you talk. I was locked in.
Keep playing.
Here, hold on, wait. Return to menu. Okay, I'm just gonna restart the game.
Try dying.
There we go. Continue.
Yeah, keep talking.
And so, scenes in game design, game development are just a fancy way of saying levels, and so you just have to whenever you want to change something, you just have to make sure that a lot of your changes don't carry you have to make sure you make the right changes. However, in Unreal, because everything is centered around blueprints and around the specific actor, you don't have to like remake changes or things
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
This game specifically is only one stage.
Yes.
When we were doing Ape on Overtime, I remember I'd open up different stages like, no, this isn't the same here, and I'd have to copy-paste over some things.
Yeah.
Like mappy models. Anyway, I beat the game again.
Oh my god.
Go ahead.
Aidan, try dying. Show off the beautiful death artwork.
Okay. Continue.
And so, like a lot of times in the editor for Unity, you might see a lot of like character prefab copy or character prefab variant because you're trying to make all of these changes to accommodate specific levels.
Is this the pose from the anime?
Yes, this is the pose from the anime.
What's his name?
The guy
from the anime.
The guy from the anime.
I forget.
I know what it is. I'm just not telling you. It'll come to you eventually.
That one dude from that one thing.
Yeah, continue talking, Thomas, please. This is very interesting.
Yep.
And I would say the biggest difference between coding in Unreal and Unity is about half a decade ago, right as Unreal 5.0 was coming out, they shifted a lot into what is known as visual scripting, which is blueprints. It's node-based programming. The idea was to open up game development for people who weren't just coders. And so a very TLDR of how nodes work is instead of having an empty sheet where you type in all of your libraries, all your syntax, all your variables, you have these nodes that you connect together to form logic.
That's a first.
Whoa.
I've never gotten inside the coffin before. Anyway, a way to think about it is for the folks at home to think of it like like a cork board and
like
thinking like pins and wires connecting everything on the board. Except one of them is your run speed and the other one is like the materials color or something.
Imagine you're a detective. And
that was
that one image of the corkboard with I think it's the dude from what's that one show in Philadelphia? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
his hand
right?
up and it's just like
it's there, it's the mailman, it's the mailman.
And you see like the pins and all the strings coming along. Yeah, that is
that's unreal.
That is effectively unreal. I see a lot of people online in forums, on YouTube or whatever, they like to say that we call it spaghetti code because that's effectively, like when you really start to expand the scope of whatever blueprint is, I mean, there's nodes and wires going everywhere.
Like
Speaking of, I do have a question specifically regarding that for this project because we did program this in Unreal. If memory serves, the way that we designed the enemy AI to work, because that was part of this, like, oh, you gotta have the enemy AI, was that we put these points on the ground.
Yes.
I think there's like one right here. There's one by the door, if memory serves.
Yes.
We don't. Oh God! Get away from me, please! Scare the daylights out of me. Anyway, as I was saying, was that we had those points on the ground. How long did it take you to get that working in the code?
So, to get the character movement and to get the AI to move anywhere, to do anything, it took me about, I would say, 6 hours the very first night. However, as all programmers have either come to realize or will come to realize that nothing ever works on the first try.
I remember the first prototype we built we had. I think we tried to show it to Professor Davis, and she immediately gets stuck, and the hunter immediately got stuck on the wall.
Yes.
In the first time we did the demo of it.
And so while yes, like the base, like the fundamental functionality of this prototype was I would say affectionately done, but I mean, we had the character moving, we had the AI moving and chasing the player, which is all well and good. However, it was getting like non-hunted pathing done. It was making sure that the pathing would loop. It was making sure that whenever the character hid, that line of sight would break, and so. It pretty much became an issue of whack-a-mole, where it was the second I tried to fix one thing, another thing would pop up, and so it was kind of... Sometimes you feel like you're running in circles, trying to figure out what's all happening, and other times it's a simple fix.
All right. Well, Thomas, what are some of your favorite resources for programming and learning it?
YouTube, forum posts. Those are it. And so when I first started getting into Unreal around late 2021, that was before AI in general, and so we couldn't just open up a chat bot and just be like, oh, how do I do this, or how would you do that? No, you had to go through the trenches of forum posts. You had to go to YouTube and find not only a tutorial, but something that is relevant to the time, because engines update so often. And that was also a time where if you really didn't know what you were doing, if something didn't work, like, you're not figuring it out. Like, if you don't have the intuition.
That's... I was trying to see if she followed through because I don't think I ever tested this. No,
I don't think I've ever tested that
I
either.
can't see, it's dark.
She's just stuck on the thing.
She just
As you can see, coding is an iterative process that requires a lot of
okay,
work.
I can see it on the screen. She's just emoting.
I think it's because there's a slight gap in the floor because of where the door was.
There might be.
I didn't make this game.
So, I mean, like, this game we worked on, what was it, February, March?
Yeah, February, March.
I think it was about a 3-week, 3.5 weeks?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It was, And I mean, there's still problems with it. So, I mean, like...
I was going to see this wonderful, wonderful
this is
artistry
a good show because Ape on Overtime doesn't have this issue.
Because we also don't have other moving characters.
Well, no, the hourglass is moved.
Yeah, the
hourglass, they do get stuck on the wall,
So
don't they?
this shows, how production classes evolve. You can have this one game middle of the semester, and then your final game can become something so much lovelier and something you can be truly, truly proud of.
Then again, we also took poor Thomas out of his wonderful Unreal heaven and just pushed him straight
back into...
I had to give you a book.
Yeah, that was...
Yes. Now, I think we only do have time for one more question because, considering our time frame. Now, Thomas, do you have any advice for other programming students?
Work. Don't ask for help. I said don't ask for help. Sorry.
That was
Whoa. Work. No. Be prepared to work. Prepared to ask for help because like I said, even this one, there's still issues with this and things that I couldn't even possibly think of. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to look for the answers that you're seeking, because there's so many resources out there, whether it be other classmates, teachers, forum posts from 15 years ago, YouTube tutorial, whatever it might be.
Your nondescript YouTube tutorial.
And just be prepared to work. There's a fun...
You were the backbone of your team. Please don't forget that.
And remember, always take breaks.
that was gonna...
Yes.
If your sleep schedule becomes destroyed because of projects, it's just gonna happen. For our class, we were low on programmers, and so a lot of us, every team had like maybe one programmer.
Or in my case,
this is why we salute
none.
And so it's sometimes you're gonna have to work by yourself, and trying to also, the last thing I would say is be able to translate your work to your teammates, because you might know how something works, and your other teammates who do level design, who do environmental design, sound, animation, special effects, that need code to get those to work.
One of the things I will say I appreciate so much that every time I asked you, like a little bit, it's like, hey, could you please explain what you added? You'd send me like a 7-minute unlisted YouTube upload with everything explained. And I was like, all right, I got almost all of that. I need to get on the edge of myself, but I get it. Thank you so much for doing that. Communication.
That is
key.
Yes.
Being able to help work with your teammates and basically go, hey, this is how this works. This is how you set it up in Engine. Here you go. Here's the keys to the kingdom.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, if you don't know how it works, they're not going to know how it works. So, and that's also like my whole thing, not my whole thing there, but for those who do use AI to vibe code, if nothing else, at least try to learn something from it, because you got to at least explain it to other people. Because you could just say it works, but if no one knows how to implement it, then it doesn't matter.
It's a team effort.
Yes.
It's why, like, once again, go back to Ape on Overtime real quick. When I was like, when you were out of town and I was kind of panicking because I was trying to figure out how the bells worked and stuff, and I was like, can you please explain me how the save system works so I can actually get this to work? And you did, and it worked perfectly.
So we are very grateful, but I believe that is all our questions.
I think we're also out of time for this segment.
We are out of time.
No worries.
All right, we will be right back very soon with a very special segment.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Professor Davis. You've probably seen me. You've definitely heard my voice. I wanted to come on for this special segment today and have a special guest who is actually my brother, Mason Davis. He is a software engineer and also a UCF alumni. He is going to come on to talk about his experience and about programming and industry. And while he's not exactly in the games and interactive media field, it's still definitely a lot of crossover with programming and coding in general. So if we want to go ahead and bring in our guest via Zoom, our first via Zoom. So Mason, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so like she said, I'm Mason. I graduated from UCF in computer science in spring of 2021. And I've been working as a software engineer since roughly like June of 2020. So that's kind of like a quick overview. So where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, I know that we've talked a lot about this, obviously being siblings, and growing up. And I obviously know like my background with you and growing up, and he is my younger brother. But we did grow up playing a lot of like PlayStation stuff and everything, but you were always like the one on the computers too. So I guess you can give people a little bit of like why you went, because obviously we always joke that like I'm art brain, you're computer brain. So if you want to give a little bit of like how you got into programming and coding and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always got all the hand-me-down computers. I think my first computer was like, I think it was like Windows 98 or Windows 2000 or something like that.
Probably.
And my first experience with like a video game, well, like this was my first like computer experience period, was like Neopets. And it's kind of funny because like my username, it's like has like a bunch of like random numbers in it and stuff like that. And they're like, well, why do you have all these numbers in it? I'm like, I don't know. Back in like the early 2000s, that's what Neopets gave me.
Yeah.
So it's been the same like ever since. But yeah, like, I mean, back in like way back in that time, computers were like magical to me. So you got on there and you get to connect like the whole world, and I was able to like conceptualize that like really young, where it's like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy, like this is huge. So from there, like yeah, just tons of video games and like RuneScape, and I think it's like old school RuneScape, but I played it when it wasn't old school. So I feel like I'm getting old. So yeah, but you start to wonder like how these things work, how computers work, and then you start writing little scripts. Like you start seeing like hearing about people like hacking stuff, and you're like, oh, that's crazy, that's interesting.
I mean, how old were you when you sent me on AOL Instant Messenger? You were way too young to be on AOL Instant Messenger, and you would send me something that would restart my entire computer.
Like, I had to have been like, it might have been like under 10. Like it had to have been, because I remember like I was sitting like, it was like I was still using like essentially what was like an old like family computer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can mess with people and send these people scripts that look like they're like normal executables and stuff. So yeah, that's like really kind of what got me started.
Yeah, and then you ended up coming to UCF for computer science, and then from there, because what I had talked about with students, and me and you talk a lot about too, is going from school and then getting into industry, and like what people did and like what you did, and from your own experience to prepare getting out into industry from like a programming side of things. And obviously what I know that you're going to talk about, because we had talked about it, this is the programming episode, so sticking to that, but it could be applied to other things as well. But kind of like what you did, if you wanted to talk about it, and give it the advice for those people interested in programming and like what they could do now to prepare themselves getting into post-grad.
Yeah, absolutely. So, especially going to school, like if you're in school, you're getting a degree, you're getting a 4-year degree, that's a great path. Like that's one of like the best things that you can still do right now. And I know there's people that would be like, oh, you don't really need it. It really genuinely is a great path. And like I love my time at UCF, and I have zero regrets like choosing that school, going through that program. And I bounced around a whole bunch because I had like a ton of interest at the time, but like I felt really at home there. But yeah, like the biggest thing is once you kind of hit the job market, you really start to see like how competitive it can be, obviously, and you start to have to kind of set yourself apart. And a degree is a great start to that, but you basically have to think about it like this, like as you start like interviewing with people and sending out like your applications and resumes, like everything's like a signal, right? And having a degree, that's just one of those signals. So I think like the biggest thing that you can be is just make sure that you are super, super passionate about what you're doing. Because that's going to show. Like when you start to talk to people, like you get in interviews and stuff like that, and when they see you kind of like brighten up when like you start talking about the stuff that you've done, like it matters, and they can see that. And another thing is, and I know everybody says this, you probably hear this from everybody, but side projects and stuff are fantastic. But here's like the one thing that I kind of felt when I was going through school. It's like, okay, but what do I make? Like, what's gonna stand out? Like, what, like you almost get this kind of like paralysis of like, oh, whatever I make, it has to be good. It has to be something amazing or interesting. And the secret is, it's like, not really. Just make something, make anything, you know, like it doesn't even, it can be just something kind of dumb, like something silly. And yeah, it doesn't even have to be good at all. It's just
do.
The more that you can explore, yeah, just start making stuff. It doesn't have to have any meaning to it. It doesn't have to have like any like real purpose. But that's where, first of all, that's where you learn the most. Like if you just start going through and exploring, like you turn the LLM, the AI off for a second, and you're just like, hey, let me just sit down and figure out how this works. I mean, let me make just like a little quick project to figure out how this works. Like I know you've probably heard the term like, what's it called? It's essentially like tutorial paralysis, where it's like, oh, this next tutorial, like you keep on watching all these things and it's not really clicking. So you're just trying to find the right one that really shows you what to do. And it feels like you're not really absorbing as much as you want from it.
Yeah.
Like I definitely get there, and like, yeah, the best thing I've done is like watch a few to get you kind of started and be like, okay, I still have no idea what I'm doing. And then just over time, as you're just kind of working on these little things that you just find interesting, like you start picking it up and you realize like, oh, like slowly but surely I'm starting to really kind of figure out the ins and outs of how these like applications work, whether like that be like Unity or C#, just making little things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And you touched on it, and I think that it's something that we can dive into a little bit, and it's a lot of concern of students that are graduating. I've talked to you about it a lot, is AI when it comes to programming. And I know from our conversations, and obviously when we're coming into this, and I wanted to talk to you about it here too, and we talked about how it's something that we can't ignore anymore. Like it's here, it's our programmers, you know, are really probably where it's being used the most. I know when my students, when they're saying, hey, for our programming, can we, you know, use AI for this? And I think that you have a really interesting insight, as well as experience working in a career where you're doing a software engineering and utilizing AI in a way. You know, I just think that you have the experience to speak on about using it. And also another thing, because I know that I've looked at jobs, obviously when I'm started talking to students about stuff, and it's always good just to kind of see what jobs are asking for currently. And what's interesting, and I've even talked about it too, is if you look even at other professor positions for game design, they're even asking now for us to have experience in using AI as part of our game design pipeline. So just, I guess, in a more general term, can you talk about using AI and AI in general in the pipeline for programming?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, when I graduated, there really wasn't much AI going on. Like there's small releases, but it really hadn't caught on. It really wasn't that impressive or great at the time. But obviously we're at a point now where, yeah, you can use an LLM, and you've seen people say, oh, I generated this whole project and it only took me like 2 hours, and I don't need a developer, or I don't need like whatever this kind of role to hire or whatever. And it's scary. And a lot of that's getting fed by, well, at the time, like, so we have all these models, and they're pretty good. Like they can get some serious work done. And you always hear all the CEOs of these like bleeding edge AI companies, and they're always like, oh yeah, we're 6 months away from AGI, or like we're not going to hire nearly as many people. And you might feel like, as someone in school, that's terrifying. That's a really scary thing. But at the same time, like as I've been in industry and I've seen essentially like how executives and like kind of like higher up people at these companies, that's what this is kind of being marketed towards. And a lot of it, at least like from what I've seen, and a lot of this is like opinion, and at least what I've observed.
Yeah, your personal experience. Yeah, yeah.
A lot of it's marketing. So like all these companies, they're really trying to sell these AI like essentially tokens now, right? They want you using their LLM, they want you to subscribe, they want you to have subscriptions with them, and they're pushing mass usage. So they're saying all these things to get all these corporate executives really excited about these projects, and it is really exciting. But as someone just kind of like trying to break into industry, it's disheartening when you see some of these interviews. But from what I've seen, like it's really just to help try to sell what they have, and they're trying to get people excited about this idea. And it might not necessarily be getting the people entering the workforce excited. Definitely not.
Yeah.
It's a scary thing, and like I understand like the sentiment, but it's kind of going through a metamorphosis right now. So I've worked on like an AI assisted development team. Like we use it, like I mean we use every tool at our disposal, right? But also we were a team before that. So a lot of what I'm seeing now is and this is just, I'm gonna say this again, like my observation, like
yeah.
It's probably going to be pretty close, but all these companies are IPOing, and a lot of the AI usage that we've seen like in mass, where it's been extremely cheap. AI's probably going to get very expensive, especially as like these companies are moving towards like IPOs, and they're finally going to have to answer like, okay, well, how are we going to make money? And I think we're going to start to see in this is the speculation part, but I really, really believe in it. You're really going to start to see usage cut back a bit, and you're going to want to be, or these companies are going to want to see people be efficient with their usage. So we're going to start to see kind of like budgets, like you're only going to get so many tokens, so like use them wisely. And a lot of people, like, I mean, you're going to have to be doing work again. Like you're going to have to be manually doing stuff that is impactful. And it's going to be something like AI is definitely not going away, but it's just going to be efficiency and using it and where you use it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a way bigger deal.
Yeah, because I've always tried to emphasize it's a tool, like what you said, like an AI assisted team, like it's a tool. Instead of it being like a complete replacement. But that's definitely like, I see the fear, and I can definitely see how some companies might even feel confident enough to do so. If I've had conversations also, like EA actually has their own AI that's kind of used internally for that. But almost kind of like what you were saying, that like AI will become, you know, almost more expensive than just having the manpower to do it. But I think like what we've talked about a little bit before, you and I, but here it's almost like it's the shiny new toy, especially for like those big corporations. But like in your own personal use, and I know this, but we can talk a little bit about it too. You know, how you've seen, especially being in like coming from the computer science field and everything, that ebb and flow, that wave of it working and not working and working and not working. And, you know, and I try to tell some students, go prompt AI with something, you know, I mean, that doesn't mean that it's not going to continue to get improved. Like it's not going to improve. It's not going to get better. But I think that being able to try to find it, to harness it, to make yourself more efficient is really important. And so like, how do you know, on a day-to-day basis, even if you're going in to make your own, projects and stuff. Like, how have you used it to maybe not be a crutch or a replacement? I think you had a really good statement that we talked about it.
So at least with my usage, like where you see this being used in practice is like it feels of like a very different thing from like a lot of the stuff that you hear online. Like a lot of it is still using like a ton of brain power. How you like kind of architect systems, and there's still gonna be like a lot of code that you're writing. Like a lot of times it'll get you, like if you're doing something that's like super well defined, it can get you like 90% there, but then you feel like you're just kind of like playing the lottery if you're trying to use it to refine the output. And it's better like if you really know what you're doing, like you can go in there and make those changes. Like especially that's why it's really important like to still develop your skill set, especially like now more than ever. That I'm saying like this is gonna get more expensive. They're gonna be worried about like token efficiency. Human skill is still probably like the most important thing that you can go into the industry with. And even like day to day, like we've seen, like I'm sure like you've seen like a lot of people get very overzealous with AI, where it's like, hey, I can do this. I have like no prior skill in this, and yeah, like you can generate some output, but when it comes to producing something that's like production ready, there are just still some gaps there, and like some stuff comes with experience of you just knowing like at a fundamental level like how your software works, how programming languages work, or certain paradigms or patterns, and you can catch some things that an AI is still not going to catch, or especially if somebody that's prompting it doesn't have that background.
Yeah, and I think that you actually said, because we talked about it when we talked about it earlier, that like where do you kind of find that line where AI is replacing you, or where you're still, like, I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but you said something about around that if you don't understand it anymore when whatever AI is giving it, you've lost control or something along those lines.
Yeah. So, in terms of just like raw development, it's like use it, but ultimately, like you as a contributor to whatever you're working on, like in an industry, like you're gonna own that. So the second that you feel like you're prompting and you're getting output and you stop understanding that output, you're losing control over that. So it's like, especially like in my field, if like you're on call, if like some like live service goes down and they're waking you up and they're like, hey, something's going on, you're going to want to understand that. You're going to want to understand how that works and where the problems are. Because sometimes like if you get an AI and it just starts kind of like spinning, where it's like, hey, I think it's this, and then it's like, okay, that wasn't it. Like you're potentially hallucinating. You still really want to be able to own the stuff that you produce, and to do that, you really got to know how it works. So that's why it's really important to like still have that background and develop that muscle or that skill set.
Yeah, because I definitely agreed with that, like that. Where if you really don't know what you're prompting, right, like a well-informed prompt is going to get you a really good answer, and you could almost spend too much time trying to fight with the AI than kind of having a base knowledge, asking it and getting moved on through your task.
And it's kind of funny too, because like you really have to kind of catch yourself, and then like as you learn more like about your field and like what you're working on, you'll see like to the untrained eye, it produces like a whole bunch of output, and that looks really exciting and really great. But it might not even like be directly answering your question or like the problem that you're trying to solve. So like firsthand, like I've seen where like some things in industry where people that are a little bit like not necessarily less experienced with like a particular product or language, they've used it and they're like, oh, here's the solution. And I'm like, okay, well, hold on. This isn't exactly fixing what we're trying to fix here. So there's definitely that like disconnect that you get with someone that isn't necessarily trained in what they're trying to accomplish or doesn't have the background in what they're trying to accomplish. Like they can't really vet the result, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's like a really big thing. I feel like the industry now is like I'm sure you've seen like some of the news where like people have made these personal projects and then like it can go horribly wrong if you can't vet the result. And you really, really need to know what you're doing to be able to kind of vet that result, especially if you're using it at scale like that.
Yeah, and then obviously working with a team as well, being able to pass your code along, to somebody else, being able to explain and understanding like, hey, this person gave me this and how to implement that code into what you're doing. But I know that we have just a little bit longer. But do you have maybe anything else? Another thing, actually, before, what did you call it? You said that somebody called it shouldification.
Oh yeah, so this is a book. You can look it up. It's a really great book to kind of read and just see just like industry trends on once something kind of goes public or it's like owned by private equity or money, a lot of money gets involved, and then the expectation to generate like as much revenue as possible gets involved. Um, the uh, the writer basically coined the term shitification. If you've heard of it, it's I think his name's Corey Doctorow. Doctorow.
Oh,
I might be
Doctorow.
mispronouncing.
I think that's yeah. I know.
I've always just read it. I'm not sure if I've ever said it. Oh, but yeah, no, it's a fantastic book because it basically just kind of goes down where it's like, um, a lot of things that are built with passion can kind of just erode away, essentially, in a way, um, as you have to maximize essentially like shareholder value or really to kind of gear it directly towards profits. And it could be something where it's like, all right, we see a lot of these AI companies like potentially IPOing, and it's like now that they have to turn a profit and they've historically not been profitable, like what are the changes that they're going to have to make? Like like I was saying, that's why I was kind of like predicting it's probably going to get a lot more expensive. They might like quantize the models. The models might get um, quote unquote less capable. There might be like a whole bunch of tricks down the line where it's for the past like year or two, everyone's felt like, oh, it's go go go. Like we need to be using AI for absolutely everything, and we're starting to see. I'm not sure if I want to call it like a full brake pump, but there's definitely a little bit more hesitation, and that's something that's very new, like happening like as we speak. What's going on in the industry? So yeah, my best thing of advice is just keep learning. Um, like there's definitely a place for like the human mind, especially in these fields, and there's a lot of sentiment being shared by a lot of like even like I think the CEO of like Rockstar Games or COO, Kimber is one of the two. Um, they're a little bit more skeptical of kind of like the path forward and like how like the industry has been going with this mass AI adoption, where it's like, well, if we want to build something new, um, we really kind of want that human creativity essentially. So that's something that's going to be really interesting going forward, and like it's still going to be exciting to kind of see where everything goes.
Yeah, and they need GTA 6.
Yeah. Whenever that comes out, right? So
yeah, well, thank you. And I know like, this was more kind of talking about programming in general, but it's definitely a reminder that we have had some alumni leave the Games Interactive Media program and go on to Lockheed and other different like military sim kind of places. So, just because if you get a major in game design or even on our website, that you still could apply just learning code and programming. I started learning my code with HTML and CSS with MySpace pages. So
oh, yeah.
I know you remember that. I probably was the one that got you on Neopets too. But thank you for coming on and kind of giving your insight as well. I know it's definitely appreciated because of, I know a lot of students sometimes will start computer science and say, but I really, really would love to get into games and will come here. A lot of our students will also dual major in computer science. So I guess my one last final question for you is, do you have any good resources where students can go maybe on their own terms and like where you practice or learn code? Like, is there a certain website you go to, or like as for like learning a new language, is there any kind of good resources that you can recommend?
The biggest thing I can probably say, and I know YouTube's like probably like the main source for like most people nowadays, but the books are still really good. And for you to get like a really just like kind of like de facto, just like full breadth of knowledge on kind of like picking up a new language. It's really great to just kind of go through like some of these like programming books that are kind of like long-standing. They're the writers put a ton of time into them, and they're excellent resources. And I even find myself today where it's like, oh, how they do that one thing, and I'm like, where's that book? And I'm like grabbing it.
You've left a couple at my house.
Yeah, and I'm still doing it. So yeah, absolutely. Like read, read some of these books. Like they're really great.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And he is placed out in Austin, which is a really great tech hub. Who's out there? You said Unity's. There's a. Did we do it by Unity?
ZeniMax, Cloud Imperium is
Everybody's
like over
out there.
3 books. There's tons of people. Like
yeah,
you can probably go through like the history of just people like kind of making games out there. Who was it?
Wasn't it Rooster
There's
Teeth
some,
out
like,
there?
Yeah, Rooster Teeth was out here, but there's like it might have been like the creators of Doom or something like that, like for Elder Scrolls. Like originally, somebody like that was out here.
Everybody, yeah. But you definitely made the
There's
move.
tons of tech out here.
Yeah, but definitely moving, away also is, I think, another thing is when a lot of people graduate, they stay in one hub instead of like maybe, saying, okay, well, I'm going to go take like a year and go out to Austin. So definitely follow your dreams outside of, just where you got your degree. There's a lot of opportunity. But thank you so much. And I hope I get to see you soon as my little brother and see you in person. But thank you so much. And we will be right back with our next segment.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. We're back. Hello.
We got kicked off. We were too funny.
I know, it was tragic. Anyway, hello. We have a new guest on here. Sadie, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Sadie. I am a former UCF student from the game design program. I was a programmer on the game COLDSNAP, which was made for the fall 2025, spring 2026 workshop, round. Yeah, I'm a programmer. That's what this whole stream is about. So maybe that went without saying, but yeah.
Oh my god, that's loud.
Music is loud.
Look, there's Sadie's name right there. Oh.
I hit something and then the music started. I was gonna try and pull up the credits with her name real quick.
Oh my god.
Turn this off.
Try.
Oh. I gotta click on the other tab.
Okay.
There we go.
But we're very happy that you're here.
Where is your name? There
right
you are.
there.
Right there.
Under Mateo Rios.
That's me.
Yes. We're very happy that you're here because, well, the only programmers we've had on, and besides having a post-life, thank you. We were informed how to lower the audio, but the only programmers we've had on were production level or postgraduate, or aka people who are in the industry as.
Nope, can't find it.
On the actual game.
On the game. Oh, in the game settings. Oh, I thought you meant Windows settings.
Guys, this is my co-host.
Windows volume settings. Yippee!
Impressive. Did you have to code those settings or?
At the very beginning, that was me. That was my second task, so it's been a while. So they might have done other things with it.
Okay.
I see.
Yes, but like I said, we've only had production level or I'm actually not sure exactly what Davis's brother's degree is. I think it was CS. I could not hear when I was watching outside.
Whoopsie.
Was it CS? I think it might have been. But he is a post. He graduated from the school. So now we're actually going to have someone who can talk about workshop because he did not do the game design program.
I'll get the game open so we get some background footage going. Hold on, let me.
Yes.
I gotta move you real quick so I can.
We gotta put you up.
There we go. I guess I'm reading this fast so I can get this on. There we go.
We're gonna do the training because we are unfamiliar with the game.
So, could you please tell us what it was like working on specifically a workshop game compared to previous programming projects?
Yeah. Definitely a very different experience. The way that the class kind of runs is you're a mini studio. The very beginning is the Hunger Games, where everyone's trying to get their games through, and then it just gets narrowed down. So it's the whole class, both semesters, is very high stress, but also really fun. Because I got lucky. I had a team of amazing people. A game that I and the entire team was super passionate about. So as stressful as it was a good kind of stress. And then I'd never worked on a team that big before. So that was also really exciting because the class kind of lends itself pretty well to people being choosing specific things they want to work on in their project. Whereas I feel if you're doing a game jam or the smaller classes like production and stuff, it is just kind of you have to become a jack of all trades within your trade, if that makes sense. So I got the chance to work on the AI for the enemies in this game.
Yes, right in front of us?
Yes.
Okay, but jump at me.
There's a giant monster!
Lagging on my end, so right now you do just have the settings open on my end, but I assume that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fighting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little loud.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Down the
We've basically we've been finagling with
I've been
the
struggling with the settings
because we would love for people to be able to hear you and all of your wisdom. Unfortunately, we've tried everything we could, so we're gonna have to keep playing, aren't we?
No, I think I got some. Hold up.
Oh, okay. Aidan's gonna pull out a secret strat.
I'm trying to find the volume manager.
While he does this, I'm gonna ask a very nice Windows Control plus V.
I just turned off the volume for the game entirely. There we go.
Genius.
Our poor music, no.
Unfortunately,
It's as good as it is.
we need to hear you instead. We want to hear
yes.
your experience because this is for the betterment of everyone watching. Now, while Aidan plays, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, mainly because he's preoccupied.
I'm struggling here.
Yeah, he's struggling.
Oh, I got.
Ooh. Now, you can see why we have Aidan playing the game and me asking questions. Oh, there's XP. Ooh, fancy. Oh, it's going up. Wait.
Level?
Level.
Awesome. Anyway, continue what you were saying, Taylor.
Now, one of our first questions is going to be, what was it like programming in a larger team? Because you vaguely mentioned what it was like to do a larger team, but we want to know really what it was like, programming with so many people on your team. And better yet, how many people were on your team?
So our team ultimately ended up, I believe, 19 people, 19 or 18. And then the programming team was 4 people, which doesn't sound like a lot, but as far as like this major goes, that is kind of a lot because I know a lot of the classes are very like, okay, 2 artists, 2 designers, 1 programmer, So having the opportunity to work on a team where there's more than 1 programmer, each person kind of gets to specialize in what they want to do instead of just doing a little bit of everything, which a really good experience for me because it gave me the opportunity to kind of delve into something that I thought was really interesting. I hadn't used Unreal a whole lot before this project, especially like the AI controllers and the state trees. Like I didn't even know that existed before working on this project. So getting the chance to just take a couple semesters and like really delve into it was a great opportunity, as opposed to just kind of like sprinkling around, learning a little bit of everything. You do kind of do that because you still need to know how the whole game works and what other people are working on. And that's kind of another thing about working on such a big team is you get to familiarize yourself not just with what you're working on, but how what you're working on influences the other programmers and then the other disciplines. So you kind of get a feel for how like everything overlaps when there's so many people on a team.
I would assume because you mentioned specifically that you worked a lot on the enemy AI, and the enemies obviously have to interact with the overall game systems, interaction with players, animations, me losing to an enemy, so I guess menus opening too, I assume that's important. So you had to communicate with a lot of the other members on your team working on those different faculties of it to put together what you're supposed to do and where they're supposed to go and where the code overlaps so you don't mess with somebody else's thing on accident.
You gotta learn that version control. You gotta get very familiar with it. Merge conflicts are like
GitHub?
Yes.
Game developers' worst enemy.
I would assume that this game is very large on GitHub. I can take a guess. But you said you had 19 team members. Now, I know for workshop that's typically uncommon, but I know there were also different circumstances depending on the class and depending on how many people are in each period and how many games come out of a class period. So was there any possible like stressors because you had so many extra people to work with, considering you're like, oh yeah, we do have extra programmers, this is very lucky, but were there any possible stressors involving like code breaking because there were so many extra people?
There was so many people in the player blueprint at one time at some point. Like everyone touched it, which meant everybody's stuff got overridden. So I think that is kind of the primary thing where just like early on, you, especially when it's earlier on in the project and you're not quite sure exactly how all of your code is going to interact with all the other code, and you can't really, like, you can anticipate what's going to be programmed later, but like as we all know, things change very rapidly over the course of production.
It's true.
So there is a lot of just, I think at one point we had to like was like, okay, you're allowed to touch the player blueprint. You're allowed to touch the player blueprint. You keep your hands off of the player blueprint. The player blueprint.
Kind of like Oprah when she says everybody gets a car.
Exactly. You get a player blueprint. You get a player blueprint. Not
I'm locked in right now. I'd ask more questions, but I'm dying here.
Hey, that's my job. That's why I'm here.
True.
Now, after doing all that, you guys made COLDSNAP, and from what I remember, COLDSNAP got top 3 for the game showcase, which, what a lovely achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This game is very cool. I really like your little robot guy.
I will say one thing I am loving about this game is specifically, actually this is a great example of it, is how the graphics look. They're kind of shaded, very similar to Borderlands.
Yes.
That's what immediately came to mind. I will say, regarding as a programmer, having to work with artists to figure out, like, you know, which assets do what and what you're supposed to code with, was there any specific troubles in that process, or, like, specific things you want to think about, or does that make sense? That does not make sense.
Kind of just like what the rest of there needs to be communication with the programming team and the art team, because what the artists are making, the programmers are making work, if that makes sense. So, like, I guess a couple examples off the top of my head was I had never dealt with animation blueprints before in Unreal, and I was responsible for kind of integrating what the animators did for the enemies with like the actual functionality, and then kind of putting together a lot of the enemy animation blueprints. So there has to be communication on that front. There were a couple times, for example, where I was kind of like unsure of what an enemy would look like. Like, I know our final boss has like a laser attack and things like that. They'll like rely on kind of how that asset looks. So you have to be able to make your code flexible enough that maybe the design can change, or maybe what has been described to you or shown to you isn't what the final product's gonna look like. So you can't like hard code a lot of things that deal with how, like, the actual physical structure of whatever you're programming. You have to make sure it's flexible, which is extremely good skill to have. Pretty much across any programming thing, you need to have code that's applicable to multiple situations, so that it's not just this walking code does that for this enemy and doesn't work for anyone else. Everyone has to have their own walking code. Like, you want to have that flexibility.
Yeah, because I'm looking at these enemies right now, and they've got a lot going on with different attacks and in-depth models.
Yes, they do. I love the little bug
Again,
guys.
we
They're
got
so
really
cute.
lucky. We had so many extremely talented artists.
Oh, I love all of the little robot guys. They are all so cute. Oh, now I do have another question because, well, we're at our halfway point. What are some of your favorite resources for learning programming? Because we asked Thomas his, and I'd love to hear from someone who has gone further in the program what resources they like to use.
So, I'm a big believer in you can't really rely on one specific source. So, I guess my personal way that I kind of learned, looking back, there's some things that I think are valuable and other things that, going back, I would have done a little bit differently. So I know that oftentimes you're going to hear like, oh, I like this one specific YouTuber or this one specific tutorial for learning this thing. The way I kind of did it, because I just kind of like threw myself into the deep end early on in the program, was I just like started a project. I was like, okay, I want to make this car drive when the player puts in input. So instead of looking up a tutorial of how to do that, I kind of just attempted, and then as I needed things like, oh, how does this physics thing work? How does input work? Like, looked it up that way. So it kind of on one hand, I think that kind of starting your own project instead of following a tutorial like to the T is definitely helpful in the sense that it gives you a little more agency and therefore motivation to keep learning. And then it also exposes you to, it's kind of the thing where like if someone were to just recite the multiplication tables at you, the little second grade you would like not be able to spit it back. But if you like get examples of it and you kind of work through it, it sticks a little more. So there's that benefit, but then it also kind of turns into like my knowledge for a while was very like patchworky. So it is really finding that balance of resources between like in-depth YouTube tutorials and stuff like that, and then like Stack Overflow, how do I do this thing? And I think that way you get exposed to multiple ways of doing multiple things. That way you're able to take that knowledge and then apply it to, you know, what the best approach is going forward if you encounter some problem. And then also like reaching out to like real people resources that you have, like your professors, any industry connections you have, like at an internship or something, your peers. Definitely like never being afraid to ask questions from the people around you, because again, that kind of gives you that like bouncing off ideas. I know that like the classes at UCF for programming are definitely really good for teaching you more like larger concepts for programming, like patterns and stuff, which I think was what I was like lacking early on in my like programming learning. Because once you have those like greater patterns that you can follow, the rest kind of falls in place, and it's just automatically your code becomes cleaner, more optimized, easier for other people to work with. So I think my personal favorite, to summarize that, I guess, my favorite resource is just looking at as many resources as you can and then coming up with your own conclusion from that, I guess.
I see. Yes, I like that a lot. You gotta apply your knowledge to make it good. Now, we technically have 5 minutes left, so I want to make sure that you have the most amount of time to give this answer to this final question. Do you have any advice for other, programming students or future programmers going into workshop?
Yeah. Definitely go in with an open mind. Whatever idea of what you think you're gonna work on, or what's like project you think you're gonna work on, be ready for it to change drastically, to be ready to work with different people of different skill sets, and just be very open-minded. Also, in general, like make sure that you're not relying on just your coursework to teach you programming. I think starting your own projects and working on multiple projects in multiple different environments is really good, because workshop kind of gives you that long-term like the long-term development experience versus like a game jam that's going to give you a short-term development experience. And both are super valuable for your portfolio and for just your own like knowing how to work on different size teams, with different people on different types of games. So really like diversify what you work on. And just be like really open-minded with what you're gonna work on, so that you're not too hung up on something. Because again, over the course of development, especially when you're given 2 whole semesters, things change. So
things change.
Going with an open mind.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, and
thank you for
from what we
having me.
know, COLDSNAP is going to get an update hopefully soon. I know that you guys are hard at work, and we are very excited for the future updates. This game is very amazing. Please play COLDSNAP. It is available on Steam for free. It is not the other game. It is this one, the one with the little robot. That is their game.
It's the birds. It's the robot, guys.
Personally, I've been enjoying the game a lot. I've been intentionally dying because I've been more focused on listening to you than actually playing the game. So that's on me.
Yeah. Looks like we're gonna be playing this game after we go for dinner.
I have a feeling that I don't have a choice.
Yeah,
All
you're
right.
playing the game.
But thank you so
Thank
much for coming
you.
on.
We really appreciate it.
Where did you go? I thought, at full screen. There we go.
But thank you so much. We are so appreciative that you came on, and I love hearing about all the things that happen as workshop goes on, because we go into workshop soon, and it's nice to hear at least some things to possibly expect, or potentially, our future that could happen, or just in general. It's good to give a good perspective to all of our future students or people who may be interested in the program.
All right, we're going to sign off. Thank you once again for coming on, and have a fantastic night.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
let me
Bye-bye.
and end the meeting. Alrighty then.
Yes. Well,
There we go. Quit the game real quick.
Aidan, when is our next stream?
Our next stream is going to be on June 24th. That is, it's going to be every other Wednesday, but this specifically, the next stream is coming up on June 24th at 6 p.m. EST. Eastern Standard Time.
The best time.
Thank you all so much for watching, and have a fantastic night. That's
Game
Game Over!